Hello friends, Tom Downey here for College Football Now, presented by BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. It's that time of the year where there's the chatter about will Bill Snyder retire or will he stick around more for Kansas State. Now, that chatter is not new, but this year it's a little bit louder because unlike most seasons, Kansas State's not doing that well. Normally they outperform almost every single year, but Bill Snyder is now 79 years old and already in the Hall of Fame, but this looks like one of Snyder's worst years at Kansas State. He's on path to miss a bowl game, which they almost never do under Bill Snyder, and at 79, maybe it is time for Bill Snyder to step away, and if that's the case, who could Kansas State hire? So we'll take you through our top 10 candidates. At number 10 is Sean Snyder. Now, we got to put him on here, but nobody panic, okay? He's been a KSU assistant coach since 1994, and this is what Bill wants. Bill wants his son to replace him at Kansas State. The problem is the fan base definitely not interested, and rightfully so, and Gene Taylor, the AD, is also not interested. He's always been a good special teams coach, but that's actually all that Sean Snyder has done with Kansas State, and the big issue is his team, the unit isn't very good this year. So Snyder's not going to happen, but we will make note of it. All right, next up, how about Gary Patterson? And the next two names here are really kind of more of the dark horse type names. All right, Gary Patterson played at Kansas State. He was a GA under Bill Snyder. It's a, can you call Gary Patterson and make him say no to coming home? Would he do it? Now, the ties are there. I think there's some debate about whether or not the TCU job is a better job than the Kansas State job. But Gary Patterson is your classic, hey, we are going to make him, we're going to pick up the phone, call Patterson, make him say no. If he says no, okay, we'll keep looking. All right, number 8, how about Mike Leach? And this is a dark horse for sure. But could he return to the Big 12 and stick it to Texas Tech after everything the way that it went down with his tenure there? And think about it, Pullman, Lubbock, and Manhattan all kind of fit that same mold. They're smaller, they're a little bit more outside of it. They're not the big focus central points there. So it's a dark horse, but don't be surprised if KSU has some interest in bringing in Mike. All right, number 7, a bit of another dark horse name, I think, is Ricky Ronnie. Now, he coached at KSU from 2006 to 2010 and was originally there under Ron Prince. Of course, that one did not go well, but Bill Snyder retained him. He is now in his first year as the Penn State offensive coordinator. Of course, the James Franklin ties also exist there, but only 1 year as an OC, a little bit more of almost a backup fallback type option here for KSU. All right, number 6 is Brent Venables. And look, he played and coached at Kansas State. And although he has a good job as the Clemson DC, why hasn't Brent Venables been a head coach before? Now, there's been buzz he's passed on jobs, but it's a little bit surprising that Brent Venables hasn't been a head coach at the college football level, kind of in the same mold as a Jeremy Pruitt, for example. So is there something wrong with Brent Venables, or perhaps more likely, is it just a situation of he hasn't found the right opportunity yet? So, folks, question for you guys. What's a better job? Is it that Clemson DC when you're making over $1 million like Brent Venables currently is, or is it to be a head coach at a place like Kansas State? Maybe for Venables at his alma mater, maybe the KSU job is the one that he would finally leave that Clemson DC spot for. All right, number 5 is Josh Heupel, and he's in his first year as the UCF head coach. And to be fair, playing with Scott Frost's players has done a pretty good job so far, 8-0. And look, you got to figure for a guy like Heupel, his dream job is the Oklahoma job, right? Why wouldn't you want to be the head coach at a place where you played and you coached? In the end, Lincoln Riley ended up being that hot young OC that took over, not Heupel. But what's the best path to getting to Oklahoma for a guy like Heupel? Is it to go win at Kansas State, or is it to stay at a group of 5 school and win 9, 10, 11 games each year? That's a fair question to have if you're Heupel. A similar mold here is Major Applewhite, who, again, I think falls in that same category. The dream job is Texas, right? Like, coaches will try and tell you that there is no dream job, but for a guy like Applewhite, you know it's Texas. He played there, he coached there, it's his alma mater. That's the dream job for a guy like Major Applewhite. So what gets him that Texas head coaching job down the road? Is it going to Kansas State, or is it staying in Houston and maybe waiting for something else, or just sticking out there for an extended period of time? Worked for Tom Herman, but I don't know if Applewhite's that same type of guy. All right, folks, today's show is brought to you by BetDSI. Go to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code LIVE120 for a 120% deposit bonus. What that means is put down $100. They'll give you $120 for free for a grand total of $220 to bet with on BetDSI if you go to chatsports.com/bet and use promo code LIVE120. All right, into the top three. I think a pretty hard and fast top three, at least for me here. Jim Leavitt. Now, this does date back to the John Curry days, but Jim Leavitt has a clause in his contract that equates to a $0 buyout from Oregon if he takes the Kansas State head coaching job. Now, reportedly, John Curry basically had Jim Leavitt as the de facto coach in waiting. But he's no longer there. And amid the player abuse stuff that happened at South Florida, even though Leavitt seems to have rehabbed his stock a little bit, that's why he's only number 3. But we know he would want it. The question is, would new AD Gene Taylor have interest in hiring Jim Leavitt? All right, number 2 is Seth Littrell. There's been some buzz and some rumors out there that Littrell is very interested in getting this Kansas State job. And don't let the 21-15 mark at North Texas fool you. He's done a fantastic job. They were 1-11 when he took over that job. The next year, in his first year, they went 5-8. Then they went 9-5. Now they're 7-2. He's turned North Texas into an actual good football team. They haven't seen that in quite some time. So he'll be a candidate for a job like the Kansas gig too. But much like Jim Leavitt, for example, and our number 1 guy who they'll get to in a second, he might prefer the KSU job over the Kansas job because, frankly, I think the Wildcats job is a way better one than the Jayhawks gig. All right, at number 1, though, is Chris Klieman. Now, remember who the Kansas State AD is. It's Gene Taylor. Guess who hired Klieman at North Dakota State? Gene Taylor. I think that makes a lot of sense there as a natural connection for those two programs there to have him at the top spot. I think it almost makes too much sense there. It's a perfect fit for Klieman. I think he'd be a great hire there. I'll make one more note on this one, that Kansas also could want Klieman. Now, I think he would prefer to take the Kansas State job if offered both, but the Kansas one we know is open. If they come at him hard from now until December or whatever, maybe he ends up taking that one instead. So just keep an eye out for that one, but I think Klieman is the top target at Kansas State given the connection there with Gene Taylor. And oh, by the way, he's gone 64-6 with 3 titles at North Dakota State. That's pretty damn impressive. All right, to recap my top 10 guys for Kansas State if that head coaching job does come open. Sean Snyder, not going to happen, but we'll make note of it. Gary Patterson and Mike Leach fall into a little bit more the dark horse category. Patterson, remember, played and was a GA at Kansas State. And then some other guys with ties here. You got Ricky Ronnie, the OC, who spent some time at Kansas State. Brent Venables played and coached at Kansas State, now at Clemson. Josh Heupel, Major Applewhite fall into that group of 5 coach taking a step forward category. And then your top 3 guys. Jim Leavitt, who at one point seemed like the de facto coach in waiting, at least reportedly was. And then Seth Littrell and Chris Klieman, 2 lesser-known coaches, but who both have obvious fits there in Kansas State. So, folks, let me know. Who should KSU hire as their next head coach? Is it a Klieman? Is it a bigger name like a Les Miles, who we mentioned for Kansas, for example? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section.